Imagine dropping off a suit at a dry cleaner, paying for the service, and picking it up a few days later looking almost new. It seems like an incredibly simple business. Take dirty clothes, clean them, charge the customer. But that isn't really what a dry cleaner is selling. What you're actually paying for is convenience, specialized garment care, stain removal, pressing, and the ability to clean clothes that may need more careful treatment than a normal load of laundry. And once you look behind the counter, the economics get much more interesting. Think about the customer. Maybe it's an office worker with suits and dress shirts. Maybe someone needs a dress cleaned after a wedding. Maybe a family has coats, comforters, or other items they don't want to clean at home. Or maybe a local business needs garments cleaned regularly. They all have basically the same problem. They own something they want cleaned, but doing it themselves may be difficult, time-consuming, or risky for the garment. So they pay someone else to handle it. That sounds straightforward. But here's the first interesting part. A dry cleaner doesn't make money by selling you a new physical product every time you walk through the door. It takes something you already own, performs a service on it, and gives it back. That changes the economics. The business isn't constantly buying finished products to resell like a grocery store. Instead, much of the business revolves around labor, equipment, chemicals or cleaning supplies, utilities, rent, and getting enough garments through the operation to make those costs worthwhile. Imagine you bring in 5 pieces of clothing. An employee receives them, identifies the items, records the order, tags the garments, and checks for stains or damage. Then those clothes have to move through the cleaning process. Depending on the garment and the operation, that may involve dry cleaning methods or other appropriate cleaning processes. After that, garments may need spotting, pressing, finishing, inspection, packaging, and organization before you return. So that shirt hanging behind the counter has already passed through a small production system. And every step takes something: labor, equipment, space, energy, supplies, and time. That's why the price you pay isn't the owner's profit. If a customer pays for cleaning, that money first has to support the entire system that made the service possible. And now we get to the heart of the business. The obvious revenue comes from cleaning garments. Customers bring in suits, dresses, shirts, coats, and other items, and the business charges based on the service and garment. But a dry cleaner can have additional revenue opportunities too, depending on the shop. Some businesses offer laundering and pressing. Some handle larger household items. Some provide alterations or repairs, either themselves or through another provider. Some offer pickup and delivery. And some serve commercial customers that can bring repeat volume. The important point isn't that every dry cleaner offers every service. It's that the same customer relationship can sometimes generate more than one kind of sale. Someone who walks in with a suit might also have shirts that need cleaning. A customer picking up clothes might remember a coat sitting at home. And a customer who trusts the shop may keep returning for years. That's important because repeat business changes the economics. A dry cleaner doesn't necessarily need to find a completely new customer for every order. If someone is happy with the service, the location is convenient, and their clothes are handled correctly, they have a reason to come back. And that can make trust surprisingly valuable. Think about it. You're handing a business clothing that may be expensive, important, or difficult to replace. If the shop damages it, loses it, or returns it poorly cleaned, the problem is much bigger than one lost sale. The customer may never return. So quality isn't just a service issue. It's an economic issue. But now let's follow the money in the other direction. One of the first major costs is the location. A neighborhood dry cleaner needs to be convenient enough for customers to actually use it. A cheaper location might reduce rent. Sounds good. But here's the trade-off. If that location is difficult to reach or far from the customers the business needs, lower rent may come with lower sales. A more visible location can help attract customers, but it can also cost more. So the owner isn't simply looking for cheap space. They're looking for space where the economics work. Then there's equipment. A cleaning operation may require specialized machines, pressing equipment, boilers or related systems, spotting equipment, garment racks, tagging systems, and other tools depending on how the business operates. That equipment represents capital tied up in the business. and buying it isn't the end of the cost. Machines have to be maintained. They can break, parts can wear out, and if important equipment stops working, production can slow down even while rent and other expenses continue. Then there's labor. Someone has to receive the garments. Someone has to inspect them. Someone has to process them. Someone may need to remove difficult stains. Someone may press and finish the clothing. Someone has to organize orders so the right garments go back to the right customer. And that's where another interesting part of the business appears. Not every garment requires the same amount of work. One item might be routine. Another could have a difficult stain or delicate material that needs more attention. If two garments bring in similar revenue but one requires much more labor and time, they don't necessarily have the same economics. The number of pieces cleaned matters. But the type of work behind those pieces matters too. Utilities are another cost. Cleaning equipment, pressing equipment, lighting, heating, cooling, and other operations consume energy. There are also cleaning supplies, packaging, hangers, maintenance, insurance, and other operating expenses. And depending on the cleaning method and location, environmental and regulatory requirements can also matter. So when you see a busy counter with customers paying all day, remember, revenue is coming in through the front, but expenses are constantly leaving through the back. And that leads to one of the most important concepts in this business: capacity. Imagine a shop has equipment and employees capable of processing a certain amount of work each day. If the shop is busy enough to keep that system productive, the fixed costs are being supported by more paying orders. But imagine the same shop with almost no customers. The equipment is still there. The rent doesn't disappear. Insurance doesn't disappear. And some staffing and operating costs remain. Unused capacity doesn't generate revenue. That's why volume can matter so much. But more volume isn't automatically better either. If a shop takes in more garments than it can process properly, turnaround times can increase. Employees can become overloaded. Mistakes can happen. Quality can fall. And customers can become frustrated. So the goal isn't simply get as many clothes as possible. It's get enough profitable work to keep the operation productive without damaging service quality. And pricing has to reflect that. Customers can compare nearby dry cleaners, especially for common services. Charge too much, and some customers may go somewhere else. Charge too little, and the shop might stay busy while struggling to cover labor, equipment, rent, utilities, and other costs. That's a dangerous situation, because a busy business can still be a weak business. A line of customers does not automatically mean strong profit. The important question is what remains after serving those customers. This is also why convenience can support pricing. Imagine two cleaners. One is cheaper, but it's far away and has inconvenient hours. The other is close to home, handles clothes reliably, remembers the customer, and makes pickup easy. For some customers, that convenience and trust can matter as much as a small difference in price. And pickup and delivery can take that idea even further. It removes another piece of friction for the customer. But here's the catch. Delivery isn't free for the business. Now there may be vehicles, fuel, drivers, scheduling, insurance, and time involved. So a service that creates more revenue can also create an entirely new group of costs. The question isn't, does delivery bring in more sales? The better question is, does the additional revenue justify the additional cost? That's the kind of question that separates revenue from economics. Now think about repeat customers. A customer who comes once for a wedding outfit is useful. But a customer who regularly brings work clothes can create a much more predictable pattern of demand. Commercial accounts can potentially do something similar. A business customer that regularly needs garment or textile care can bring consistent volume. But large accounts create another trade-off. More volume can be attractive. However, if one large customer becomes too important, losing that account can suddenly leave unused capacity behind. Again, there's no free advantage. Every benefit has another side. So how does a dry cleaning business grow? The obvious answer is opening another location. But that means another lease, more employees, more equipment, and more operating complexity. There is another model too. A company can separate customer-facing locations from the main cleaning operation. A smaller storefront can accept and return garments while cleaning happens at a centralized plant. That can allow one production facility to support multiple customer locations. Now the economics start changing. Instead of putting a full cleaning operation into every storefront, the company may be able to concentrate expensive equipment and specialized work in one place. That can create efficiencies, but it also creates transportation and coordination needs. Garments have to move between locations without getting lost, delayed, or mixed up. So centralization can lower one type of cost while creating another. That's a perfect example of why business economics is rarely as simple as bigger is better. Then there are the risks. Competition is obvious. Another cleaner can open nearby. Laundry services can compete for some customer needs. Customers may also buy more clothing that is easier to wash at home. Changes in how people dress can affect demand for certain traditional dry cleaning services. And operational mistakes can be expensive. A damaged garment isn't like making the wrong cup of coffee. The business may be dealing with something personally or financially valuable to the customer. Then there is equipment failure. If a key machine goes down, work can back up quickly. If orders are delayed, customer trust can suffer. If the business has too few customers, fixed costs become harder to support. If it has too many orders without enough capacity, service can suffer. That's the balancing act. And now comes one of the most interesting insights about this business. You might think the most important asset in a dry cleaner is the cleaning machine. It isn't necessarily. The customer relationship can be just as important. Machines perform the service, but repeat customers keep the machines busy. A beautiful shop filled with expensive equipment doesn't create much value if nobody brings clothes through the door. And there's another counterintuitive point. A cheaper price doesn't always create a better business. If a shop cuts prices aggressively, it may attract more garments. But every garment still requires handling, labor, supplies, equipment time, and space. More volume at the wrong price can simply create more work without creating enough additional profit. So utilization matters. But profitable utilization matters more. That's the real economic engine. A dry cleaner takes expensive equipment, skilled or specialized labor, a convenient location, and customer trust, then tries to keep that system busy with enough profitable repeat work. Revenue comes garment by garment. Costs keep running whether the counter is busy or quiet. And profit appears only when pricing, volume, quality, and operating costs stay in balance. So the next time you walk past a neighborhood dry cleaner, don't just see racks of shirts and suits. See a small production system. Every garment is a job. Every machine represents capacity. Every repeat customer helps fill that capacity. Every mistake can damage trust. And every price has to cover more than the cleaning itself. That's the economics of a dry cleaner. The business isn't really about cleaning as many clothes as possible. It's about turning trust, convenience, equipment, labor, and repeat demand into profitable capacity. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to Business Anatomy for more videos explaining how everyday businesses actually make money.